What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. And we're getting 2 reviews for the price of 1 today. What a deal. This is the greatest deal you'll ever get, except for signing up for my newsletter, which is in the description below. And you will get a free graphic novel for signing up. How can you beat that? All right, I've been reading Jonathan Hickman's work lately because there's this whole Hickman Marvel reading order that people seem to enjoy. And I started with the Fantastic Four, mainly because I had that first. And I know I skipped a couple things, but next was his Ultimates run, of which I looked up, and apparently there's a little more to it. There's Ultimate Fallout, which preceded this, and then there's a couple miniseries. I think there's a Hawkeye and a Thor miniseries involved in this, which I didn't read. But so I dove right into this. And the Ultimates universe is a weird one. So it was kind of made by Mark Millar to be like an edgier and darker Avengers. And, it was very popular at the time. I remember reading the first series of it and enjoying it. The art was really good on it, and it was pretty fun. And the movie universe kind of seemed to spawn a little bit from that, but toning some things down because Millar goes a little over the top on that sort of stuff. But I never really read into too much of the Ultimate Universe, so this is kind of fresh for me. I know who these characters are because I know who Thor is and Iron Man and all that, but they're a little different than their regular counterparts in here. So Hickman's joined by this. I got library copies on the cheap here. I guess. This is book 2. So let's start here. There's Iron Man, Captain America. Yeah, when you buy on Amazon or whatever, you get what you get sometimes. So these are not the best copies of this. Probably won't even put them on my shelf. Esad Ribic is I hope I pronounced that right, is the main artist here. And of course, 5 and 6 change things a little bit. So we're starting a little strange world where we get this strange character here who has a weird helmet thing on and looks like aliens from Aliens kind of design, who's got all these children. And I noticed this, at the very beginning of this, I was like, oh, this looks a lot like the kind of Future Foundation sort of outfits from the Fantastic Four, and that's a kind of a mild spoiler till I get there. But there's this colony starting basically, and Fury is seeing what's going on. There's a bunch of destruction going on, and in Hickman classic fashion, tons of exposition and talking to start this out, to sort of set the scene. But all the Avengers are kind of off in different spots. There's Tony Stark. I really like the art on this, I should mention. As far as that sort of modern style goes, this is actually done really well. And the colors are really beautiful through here, which I enjoy. A little better than the Fantastic Four, to be honest. But all the heroes are kind of off doing their own thing. Asgard's been destroyed. I don't know when that happened. But everything's kind of a mess for everybody at this point. And Fury's like, hey, we need to figure out what's going on here. And the Avengers are kind of disbanded in an official capacity right now. But this whole Future Foundation, I guess it's called the City and the Children in this arc, is causing problems for everybody. And so we get some knockdown, drag-out fights where our heroes get beat up very badly through this by the children. Wow. And like I said, the art's pretty nice through it. I enjoy it. And once you get past that expositional spot, it's just a lot of knockdown, drag-out action. Get Spider-Woman through here, who I don't know who this is in the Ultimate Universe, but there she is. And Thor finally goes off and kind of does his thing. So Thor infiltrates the city. Captain Britain's all cooped up there, and then we get kind of beat up through this. And we get a reveal that, sure enough, that Future Foundation looking thing was actually Reed Richards. And they go to the White House. Nick Fury's looking for authorization to attack the city. But the White House is not allowing it as of right now. Captain America, meanwhile, is just kind of hanging out in the New Mexico desert and refusing to do anything. So, very odd first 6 issues. and it doesn't really get much of a resolution at this point. Oh, I guess Falcon kind of makes his way into this this city that Reed Richards built, which is like this utopia of the future. And then talks to Richards a little bit. And that's all we get. So that's why I didn't just choose to do one book with this review, because it really concludes through here. So we get back into the storyline, and it goes into like really destructive stuff real fast. So we got the Eternals and Celestials. They're different than the normal universes a little bit. And they're trying to coax them into action against this Reed Richards city as a threat to us all. They kind of refuse, and they drop a Hulk in the city. And this is interesting because, and this is what this is kind of a follow up to Mark Millar's original Ultimates, where he dropped a Hulk on the problem and the Hulk just beat face. But in this one, Reed Richards actually talks to the Hulk and is like, "Hey, they're blackmailing you," and actually convinces the Hulk to hate America instead. Meanwhile, Congress is deliberating on acting, and they send off a bunch of nukes to destroy this city of this creepy Reed Richards dude, and who apparently the background on this is he died, I guess in Ultimate Fallout, maybe before, I don't know. Again, I didn't read all that stuff, but so he came back, and there's something weird off with his brain where he's trying to like make this utopia world by himself here. Strange. So he's the ultimate villain here, and Tony Stark is really trying to figure something out. So U.S. launches a bunch of nukes, and then they retaliate, or Reed Richards retaliates by destroying Washington, D.C., killing the president and everybody. So this low-level guy kind of takes command at that point, and he's hesitant to deal with the Avengers because they're officially disbanded again, but Tony Stark convinces him a plot. Now, it does that thing where you think that the U.S. is actually not going to help the Avengers and they're actually opposed to the Avengers, but then they do a reveal page later that shows the end of the conversation. So it's one of those things that it's a twist, but it tricks the reader, and I freaking hate that, because it's like you pull out of the perspective just to trick the reader, and I think that's insulting to audiences' intelligences when you do that. I really dislike that. It's not a real twist if it's something that the audience should know, and the information is withheld from us because, it appears later. And so it literally just cuts off that middle of the scene and then plays back that scene later when they're actually confronting Reed Richards. So it screws up like the time and the pacing to show what the real thing was. And not my favorite plot device. It's used in comics quite a bit these days to make edgy twists. But regardless, they go to Reed Richards, and it's actually after the whole nuclear thing kind of started maybe about halfway through this book. The climax of like kind of talking to Reed Richards and they basically insert a virus into his city in a way, is really kind of a letdown compared to the action that happened before. So, while it concludes, and you do get a Hulk versus Iron Man or War Machine, whatever battle in this, while it concludes satisfactorily, that it really was dialed down a lot from what the actual climax of the book was. Which is the same thing I saw in Fantastic Four. Like, the actual climax of his run was about halfway through Volume 2 of the Omnibus. So it seems like he kind of ends things and then just keeps things going later with some shock tactics and things like that. So again, while the art's really pretty in this, I just don't have a great connection to it. I thought the characters really didn't feel all that heroic. Didn't really do much throughout of it, and the plot device of like kind of tricking the reader by withholding stuff that actually happened in a scene till later, and then going back into that as like a flashback at that point when you actually had the scene going before from that actual perspective, just didn't feel right for the book. So it's fine. Again, it's fast paced, so it's tons of action. So there is all that, and if you want to watch nukes blowing things up and that level of like absurd destruction, that's kind of fun. So I call this like a 7 out of 10. Not the best work. Maybe if I read Ultimate Fallout, I don't know if I'd like it better, but we'll see. I'll probably get there at some point when I get a copy of that. All right, hit that like and subscribe button. See you guys soon.